Glad to have you with us here on Ravens Rundown, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here. We're talking all things Ravens Mandatory Minicamp, as day number 1 is in the books. And on today's show, we'll go over all the sights and sounds, the takeaways, everything you need to know from the first day of camp for your Baltimore Ravens. Let's begin with Marlon Humphrey, as Humphrey made his return to practice for the Baltimore Ravens. And we've talked a lot about over this offseason, the last few weeks, really since the draft, how much depth the Ravens have at the secondary and specifically the cornerback position. When you have Marlon Humphrey, of course, coming off the seasons that he's been a part of this team, a Pro Bowler, of course. You bring in Nate Wiggins with your first-round pick, and Brandon Stevens coming off a very good year. The safety spot, Kyle Hamilton, a lot of expectations for. Marcus Williams, a former Pro Bowler and everything here. This is just really good to see for Humphrey to be back in the mix, in the rotation. Although you do have the depth, you don't want to test your depth necessarily early, right? Marlon Humphrey kind of teased on Twitter within the last couple of days leading up to camp, kind of foreshadowing, if you will, about his return, saying the good thing about getting bad news is positive news isn't far away. And the negative news that you can kind of point to was what we saw from Marlon Humphrey at OTAs within the last few weeks. He was extremely limited. He wasn't up to full strength, and here he is at minicamp just doing everything that's been asked of him. He has been a full go. And for Marlon Humphrey this upcoming season, you look at the statistics, he's looking to get back on similar track to what we saw in previous seasons. Last year was injury-riddled and missed 7 regular season games last year. 2022, he was fantastic, though, as he was able to compile 71 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 7 pass breakups, and 3 interceptions. Marlon Humphrey, in a competitive corner room, will like to get back to his old ways. Staying in the secondary, that's where we find Kyle Hamilton with an injury update on the Ravens safety. And I'll say this, there's no need to panic, no cause for concern, if you will, when it comes to Kyle Hamilton and this injury at this point. Let's run over the details of what we know. This is according to John Harbaugh, talking in his press conference on Tuesday, said the following, that loose bodies were removed from his elbow in surgery. It's going to be about a 2 to 3 week recovery, so not really that long. And with training camp coming up in several weeks, Hamilton's expected to make a full recovery and be a full go when training camp rolls around here in a few weeks. So all signs point to that Kyle Hamilton's on the right track, that this isn't going to be a lingering issue, anything that holds him back. And so that's very good news for the Baltimore Ravens, that this isn't going to cost them too much necessarily, that he just misses a few minicamp practices over the next couple days. Hamilton coming off a fantastic season in 2023 where he accounted for 81 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 4 interceptions, and 1 forced fumble. And the thing with Kyle Hamilton, his role is changing a bit in 2024 compared to what we saw in 2023. In 2023, he was a bit of a roamer and played the nickelback a lot. Now this year, he's going to be primarily in that full-time safety position. And the expectation is, we've heard from Zach Orr and others, that Kyle Hamilton take a big step forward to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate in 2024. The big thing I'm looking for, coverage, though, will have to improve. We know that he can create turnovers. The 4 interceptions, 13 pass breakups, those are all great. But completion percentage allowed, that's got to come down a bit, about 60.7. Gave up about 258 yards last year. I'm expecting big things out of Kyle Hamilton. What say you? Will Kyle Hamilton have a big season in 2024? Weigh in on our pinned comment. Let us know what you think. B for believe, D for don't. Don't be showing that D around. Type B in the comment section and show some love for Kyle Hamilton, that he has a big season in 2024. We are covering your Baltimore Ravens each and every day here on Ravens Rundown with our daily news and rumors. We are bringing you breaking news. Anytime the Ravens make any additions, whether it be free agency or trades or any big injury news, whatever it may be. We're going to be all over it here on the channel. We are your off-season headquarters for all things Baltimore Ravens. Subscribe now for free. Join the family of 16,000 plus Ravens fans with continuing off-season coverage here on Ravens Rundown. YouTube.com/RavensTV. To subscribe now for free. You'll be glad you did. Number 3, let's talk Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, this feels like a match made in heaven of what has transpired over the last couple of months since he officially became a member of the Baltimore Ravens. And so far, so good. He's fitting in great. And we're seeing a Derrick Henry that is showing new life, if you will, that looks rejuvenated, looks motivated coming into this Baltimore Ravens team. He's excited to be here. And it goes beyond just the football field as well. What we've seen from Derrick Henry is he's fitting into Baltimore and making the great state of Maryland home. He had this to say on his time in Baltimore so far. I love it. I ain't had a bad meal here yet. Hopefully that doesn't lead to other things, but you get the idea. The food is good as hell. I would agree. It's been good, been cool. The culture is just like I expected. Work hard, togetherness, a brotherhood. Everybody pushes each other on all sides of the ball. It's been fun learning and getting to know everybody. So Derrick Henry enjoyed himself some crab cakes, it seems. Here is a photo that was posted yesterday on the Ravens X account. That still sounds weird to say. Lamar handing things off to Derrick Henry, and you can see Derrick Henry in great shape. He may be enjoying those crab cakes, but it doesn't look like it. He coming in looking great at this point at minicamp. And the thing for him, I think that Ravens fans are looking for, you look at the statistics of what we've seen from Derrick Henry, he still is one of the best at his position, right? In most running backs his age have all taken a considerable step back. Derrick Henry has not at this point in time. Last year, you think about it, he had a terrible offensive line in Tennessee, a terrible team around him. Still rushed for 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns, 4.2 yards per carry. If he can do that again, I think the Ravens would gladly take that. I think the ultimate goal, what Ravens fans would be thrilled with, if he goes 1,300 plus, then you're talking about cooking with bacon grease, essentially, with Derrick Henry there. It'd be great for all parties involved there and really alleviate the run game from Lamar Jackson in that sense. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball now. That's where we turn our attention to Trenton Simpson as the running mate that he will be playing alongside. Roquan Smith gave him a resounding endorsement. He didn't endorse Biden or Trump. He endorsed Trenton Simpson. And what we've seen from Roquan Smith, he made it very clear that he is Trenton Simpson's biggest supporter at this point. And there's still a competition, right, to see who's ultimately going to play alongside Roquan Smith, replacing Patrick Queen in this defense. But if it were up to Roquan Smith, it sounds like Trenton Simpson would be that guy, and Simpson is ready to answer the call. Listen to this from Roquan Smith. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. He doesn't make the same mistakes over and over. I know he doesn't understand how fast, how explosive, how powerful he is. And, correcting those mistakes is a big step in the right direction, because last season he looked like a deer in headlights at times, but we saw a breakthrough for him in that Week 18 contest when he got the start against the Pittsburgh Steelers, when the Ravens rolled out the JV team after already clinching home field advantage in the AFC last year. And with the optimism there with Trenton Simpson, I think one thing that I point to a lot is that you think about Patrick Queen. His play didn't really elevate, take that huge jump till he played alongside Roquan Smith. Trenton Simpson may be raw and all, but I think playing alongside Roquan is going to cover for a lot of the misses, the flaws, the mistakes that Trenton Simpson could make. So watch out. I'm very optimistic about what Trenton Simpson's going to do in 2024. What's your confidence level in Trenton Simpson? Scale it for me in the comment section how you're feeling. I'm feeling pretty good about Trenton Simpson. All things considered, everything we've heard to this point, I'll give it about a 7. Scale it for me in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Let's wrap up today's show on the offensive line as veteran offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley says he feels as good as ever. Stanley back in what most people anticipate probably his final season with the Baltimore Ravens, as his contract situation beyond this year doesn't look too pretty for the Baltimore Ravens. And you look at Stanley, had a disappointing season last year, right? And for Stanley, he looks good, feels good, expected to play good. Shout out Deion Sanders, right? He feels like he's ready to bounce back. Here's what he had to say about his health. I feel as quick and as athletic as I've ever been. I just want to be the player I know I can be for a whole season. And, the player that we saw from Ronnie Stanley several years ago was an all-pro, right? Is he still that guy, if we're going to be honest? Probably not, but you can see this was him at the podium yesterday, courtesy of Jonas Schaefer. And, he's looking great. He's giving you that death stare like you said something that didn't make Grandpa too happy. But, he looks the best we've seen in quite some time. Will that result in him staying healthy on the football field and cleaning the little things up? Because it's two parts with Ronnie Stanley. It's not just staying healthy, but the on-field performance wasn't that great last year either, if we're going to be honest, for how much he got paid. His PFF grades, overall grade, not great. Pass block grade was okay, 72.4. Run block grade, 72.5, not great. Gave up 10 penalties and gave up a number of sacks as well. Ronnie Stanley understands he's got work to do heading into 2024, especially with the question marks on the offensive line as a whole. Stanley can't be one to hold this team back. So with that said, we've gone through all of our takeaways now. What is your biggest takeaway from Ravens minicamp so far? 1 day in the books. Got a couple more to go. Weigh in. Let us know what you think in the comments section. Thanks for joining us here on Ravens Rundown today. Continuing coverage all offseason long right here on the channel. Subscribe now for free. I'm Tyler Jones, and I'll see you next time.